Stan Gibilisco here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV Whiskey 1. Good vibrations. A little while ago I made a video about after hours operating from W1AW Whiskey 1 Alpha Whiskey when I was an operator there in the late 1970s. I had odd hours, and at times I would get on the air at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, generally on weekdays, and run 3 watts output QRP CW into one of those high gain antennas that they had at extreme height at that time, and probably still do. In my case, it was a 3-element full-size 40-meter Yagi antenna aimed in the general direction of San Francisco, so that at that time it'd be pointing out towards the west where daylight still prevailed over the Pacific Ocean, and I could work DX and sometimes generate pileups because of the extreme gain of the antenna and the nature of that particular call sign, the appeal of that call sign. But there's one thing that I wish I had done that I never did, and I certainly would do it today. You can build a simple crystal-controlled oscillator, a Pierce oscillator for example, with a plain old bipolar transistor or field effect transistor, and generate maybe 50 to 100 milliwatts of good pure RF CW signal. It's simple to do. They say ham radio succeeds when all else fails. Well, CW succeeds where all other modes fail. You could never build a sophisticated transmitter with one transistor, a crystal, a few resistors and capacitors, and get on the air and expect to make any contacts. In fact, generally you wouldn't ever make any contacts anyway, unless you had the advantage of the high gain antennas they had at W1AW and the blessing of that call sign, the near sacredness in some people's minds of that call sign in Newington, Connecticut, the Maxim Memorial Station of the American Radio Relay League. I would have connected an oscillator like that, a simple home-brewed oscillator, just something enough to get a signal out, to that antenna, the 40-meter Yagi most likely, or maybe on weekends when I had to work during the station more or less normal business hours, I might try one of the higher frequency bands in the HF spectrum. 15, 20, or 10 meters at that time were the bands in use, and see what I could work. See if I could generate a pileup with 50 or 100 milliwatts. I am willing to bet, being a betting man from Deadwood, I am willing to bet that I could, but I'll never find out, and it's something I guess at this particular moment I wish I had done. What do you think would have happened with a pee-wee signal like that and a Goliath antenna, such as one of those at W1AW? Extreme high-gain QRP CW operation. Wouldn't it have been fun? Stan Gibilisco, W1GV, saying 73, awaiting your imaginative answers to that question. And so long, which in my native fist and in that mode on those kinds of stations would always, of course, translate to da-da-da-da-da-da.